This is part 4 of the French Revolution on the radicals, and this is the last mini lecture that we use for our course. Now, this is what makes the French Revolution very different from the American Revolution. This is the radicals who get control for just a couple of years, 1792 and 1794, and their political leader is Robespierre. That's one of the questions on your study guide, Robespierre. And on the chapter study guide, the information we're going to look at today is covered in questions 12 through 15 in chapter 22. So this is kind of a review of what the radicals did. So the radicals take the revolutionary slogans seriously, literally. So the moderates were willing to tolerate a limited monarchy, not so the republics. So when it comes to the monarchy, their position is abolish it and make France a republic. Just like the United States, a country without a monarchy, a republic. So we know from what we've learned previously, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, the king and queen, will be arrested and they will be executed via the guillotine. So if this is really a revolution about liberty, equality, and fraternity, what about slavery? Well, here they're consistent. Abolish it. Something the moderates were not willing to do, something that we were not willing to do when we set up our Constitution in 1789. But here, they're taking the revolutionary slogans seriously. You can't have a revolution about liberty if you tolerate slavery, was their position. Now, a lot of people could go along and support these ideas. Not everyone, but quite a few people in French society could support these. These next two are way more radical. So, when it came to Christianity, they viewed this as an organized religion that had been used by elites to control people. So when it came to Christianity, abolish it. They're going to take the calendar, remove all the saints' days, remove all references to the church year, and instead they're going to expect people to, not follow organized religion, but rely on reason to construct the ideal society. So if you were a priest or a nun and you were captured and you refused to renounce your faith, then you could probably be executed for your faith. And that did happen in various parts of France when people resisted this attempt to get rid of organized religion. Now, political rivals, here's their policy. Eliminate via use of terror. What if you oppose this agenda? What if you refuse to renounce your faith? They believed it was their duty to eliminate you. And we're not talking about just being put in prison or being sent into exile or asked to leave the country. You would be arrested and put on trial and most likely executed via the guillotine. Now, Robespierre, as a young lawyer, had been against the death penalty, but when he finds himself in this situation, he's going to change his mind and send many people to the guillotine. Now, the last question on your guide asks you this: what's the justification? How did the radicals justify these harsh measures? And I think this is the best way to explain it. Here's how they looked at it. No one had ever been in a position to eliminate monarchy, slavery, and organized religion. So this is their vision for the ideal society. A society that doesn't have monarchy, is free from slavery, and doesn't have oppressive organized religion that's trying to control everybody. So they thought, we're in a unique position. Nobody's ever had a chance to do this, and here we are. We're in a position to create this kind of society. We're not going to miss this opportunity. Now, let me give myself some room here. And I'll do one more thing to try to explain how this happened. So if we were having regular class this week, I'd show you a part of a film called Danton. Danton was a lawyer, and he'd been an architect of the terror, but he thinks it's gone too far, and Robespierre is going to have him arrested. Now, and eventually executed. So there's a scene in the film where a judge shows up to talk to Robespierre, and the judge is very troubled. He goes, "You can't keep sending me all these people and just expecting me to be your executioner." And Robespierre looks at him and loses his temper and says this. Here's his answer to that assertion. When it comes to the Republic, we can do anything. See, so again, no one's ever been in this position to create the ideal society from their perspective, and if you stand in their way, then you're an enemy of the Republic, and they have the right to use any means whatsoever to eliminate you and eliminate opposition to the construction of this ideal society. When it comes to the Republic, we can do anything. Now, this is one of those ways in which the French Revolution was very influential. Later on, in various revolutions, I'll just take one for example, Lenin and the Bolsheviks in 1917. Lenin would write to his inner circle, and he would refer to Robespierre and the radicals. And he would say, we are now in the same position that the radicals were in back in the French Revolution. We can create the ideal society in Russia. Now, the radicals in the French Revolution, they only maintained power for a couple of years. They made a bunch of mistakes. And then Lenin says, we will not make that same mistake. We will eliminate our political rivals and create the ideal society. So that's one way in which the French Revolution has been incredibly influential down through the years, because in the future, revolutionaries are going to look at the French Revolution and model what they do after many of the things that happened during the French Revolution.